Alright guys, we're back for more how to build a scheme on defense, and pretty much talked about everything I'm going to talk about as far as building a blitz or putting together your blitzes and things like that. The next crucial aspect of it, the last thing I'm going to say about blitzing is really finding plays that work well together. So for instance, just for an example, we got the 4-3 stack here. We got OLB Fireman, which is going to give you a cover 0 man blitz look. You can use that with like a cover 1 robber as a cover 1 blitz. Then you can use the 2-man under as a basically your 2-man under blitz and just kind of blitz those guys. You could also use man QB spy as your blitz and do something like this. So for instance, we could go from OLB Fireman far 0, 2-man under as our 2-back, and man QB spy as our outside blitz, and we'll show you how we're going to do that here. This will be self-explanatory, you know, if you're on Gen 3, something like this. Then we go to the 2-man under, where we may do something like this, and blitz that linebacker over there, and either we could zone this guy in the middle, or we could zone him in the flat there and maybe go with the hook here and another hook here, or, you know, have him continue to play deep. But just depending upon the adjustments, you can kind of get the same effect with the same defense behind it. Or maybe you do this blitz here and you kind of just use her with him there. And maybe you go with a contain over here to help with the drag or something like that. But or maybe the blitz you have allows for you to put him in a spy, in which case he's going to stop drags, or the halfback doing an option route. He's going to help with drags on the outside, and he's also going to, you know, stop contains or halfback screens and things like that, or help with wide receiver screens a little bit, things like that. So, you know, different adjustments are going to help different things. You know, the spies are going to help, you know, obviously with the drags, little stuff in the middle, short stuff. These are going to help obviously with the screens and little stuff over there. Man defense is man defense. Flat zones, whether you know it or not, kind of play as a contain. That's another role people don't realize, is that if you have a flat zone and they run to the right and they actually start cutting up field with their quarterback, the flat zone will come up and make a play on the quarterback. And that's another huge crucial thing with those flat zones. That's nice. They also help with the screens. They don't stop them, but they do help. Just having a defender in that area definitely is always a bonus. The more people you got in the area for that screen, the better off you're going to be. Likewise, if you have two spies, they're not going to stand on top of each other. They're going to stand next to each other. And instead of one guy covering the middle like this, it's going to kind of be like the two guys covering the middle like that. If you have two spies, we'll go ahead and hike it and show you what I'm talking about here. See what I'm saying? They kind of spread out a little bit, and they cover it a little bit differently than if there was just one. Let's go ahead and audible and show you what the one's going to look like. But just having a different number of spies or a different number of contains, or, you know, having flat zones, those different things, they play more than one role on the field. Those three adjustments there. So whenever you're, you know, scheming or whatever, just keep that in mind, that those adjustments do help in other ways other than just what they're designed for. So the contain isn't just going to help with quarterback. It's going to help with that. Of course, that's what it's designed to do, but it's also going to help with other things. Spy is going to help with more than just the QB. Yes, it will help with him a lot, but it will also help if, you know, it's a very short pass and he happens to be in the area. He will make a play on it, especially those plays like this one where the tight end does this angled little curl like that. A lot of those plays, the spy will definitely help big time with that. It'll also help with drags and things like that as well. And then the flat zone, of course, is going to help with the QB along with everything else in the flat area. And sometimes they will press as well. So if you have a flat right here from this corner, he will actually press. So all those factors with those adjustments are going to be huge in making your defense better. But let's get back to what we were talking about here. So let's just say, for instance, our blitz is something like this, where we just spread the line and do something like that, and that blitz gets in after we re-blitz that linebacker. We can do the exact same setup from the 2-man under as we've seen there and just kind of make adjustments there. And then we can do the same thing with this man QB spy, or we can do the same thing with the other cover 1 play that we talked about, which is the cover 1 robber. So let's just go ahead and show you what we would do. You can do the exact same thing And you can re-blitz either the outside guy on the left or the right based on this. So you can do something like, I'm going to re-blitz this guy and maybe just man up Davis. Do something like that. You could also go with a route of just deciding to re-blitz where Gore is. Man him up on Gore. Or maybe you go with a hook zone here, a flat there, and kind of user the safety. But either way, there's a lot of different things you can do, and there's a lot of benefits to having multiple ways, multiple plays to set up the same blitz. And that's kind of like the man way you can kind of do it. Another thing you can do, I'm not saying those blitzes work. What I'm saying is when you're building your scheme, these are the types of ideas and concepts you want to look at, is if you can set up the same blitz with the same general idea. If you can apply it to any play in the formation, then that's going to be gold, because then you can run the various coverages. Likewise, you can run a cover 3 buzz, or a cover 3, or a cover 2 buck, or a cover 2 sink, or a cover 4, or even one of the more exotic zones like a cover 3 cloud or one of those zones, and get the same setup. So just for instance, let's see here. We'll go with a cover 4 just because that's going to be the most different than the cover 3 and the cover 2. But you can change your audibles and stuff too to work for you. But for instance, we could do something like this and blitz him, and now we'll just change him to a purple. Or instead of having him in a purple, we could change him to a purple. Or maybe put him in a purple, flat him. Or even if we don't do that, maybe bring it from the left side. Maybe put him in a flat instead. Or maybe put him in a flat instead. And hook this guy and hook this guy, because we know they never go deep on the left. So when you're making your blitzes and your adjustments and things like that, this is all stuff you can take into account. Then necessarily it may not be adjusting out of the same play. Maybe just go to a different play and adjust. So if you plan on putting both these outside guys in flats, just go ahead and go with a cover 2, as opposed to the cover 4. And now we got the same cover 4 look, but instead they're going to play a lot of the shorter stuff, and we can do the same kind of ideas and just kind of work around that. So you got the cover 2 look now. Then you can go ahead and go with the cover 3 look. And you always want to make sure your stuff looks the same. Stutter in there, geez. But the more you can make it look the same out of different coverages and out of different, looks defensively and different adjustments, the harder it's going to be for your opponent to make the pre-snap reads and even the post-snap reads, which is going to likely, if you can get good pressure on them when you're blitzing or get some solid coverage, lead to them making a mistake. So try to have everything look the same if you can, if at all possible. So again, you got the cover 3 look. You can choose to just keep this guy, one guy in the middle. You could also choose to just rezone the safety and kind of, try to get this hook zone to play there. Could double baseline to get them to kind of spread evenly. You can play with the shading of your coverage. A lot of things you can do adjustment-wise whenever you're blitzing or whenever you're, putting together a coverage play or whatever. But just experiment with that. Just experiment with, trying to see if you can get the plays to work out of different plays, or trying to get your same blitz setups to work out of different plays. That can also be a huge factor in what makes your play effective. Another thing to look at is, for instance, if you're running a play that has a unique blitz angle like the Mike Sam 3 seam, they also have the Mike Sam 2 buzz. And likewise, they also have the Saw O blast. So those 3 plays all have the same blitz angles from those linebackers. So if you need those blitz angles, there are certain plays in the game like that where you can't recreate that blitz angle. You can't recreate that same angle, and that angle is what makes your scheme work. So you need to try to find other plays that have that angle that is going to allow you to use them. So if you do have like 3 options like that, where you can have a cover 2 look, a cover 3 look, and a a cover 0 man look, those are going to be things you can also use whenever you're scheming. So basically the whole idea here is, if you have a play, try to find other plays that have either the blitz angle in common or something like that in common, that you can get the blitz to work the same way or slightly different. Otherwise, what you'll end up having to do is try to find different setups for different plays, which is definitely doable, but it's just more you have to think about. So if you can get the same blitz setups to work, like the same 3 blitz setups to work from a cover 4, cover 3, cover 2, cover 1, 2-man under, cover 0 man, or cover 0 zone, or whatever. Well, I guess it won't be a cover 0 zone, but regardless, if you can get the same setups to work from a lot of different plays as opposed to having different setups for every single play, you're going to make life so much easier on yourself, like so much easier. And it's going to make things so much easier for you, and usually lead to you having more success as well on defense, because you don't have to remember quite as many setups. And just find something you're comfortable with, find those few setups, and then adjust from behind that. So that's the idea there. Now, as far as stopping the run goes, run stoppers, see if your blitzes stop it, see if your coverage stops the run, but most likely you'll have to get some other setups to stop the run. I'm not going to talk about it too much, even though stopping the run is probably going to be the most important thing to do on Gen 4 or Gen 3 Madden 25, just because the run is so overpowered. But find some run stoppers. Find some stuff that's going to stop a quick base. Try to stop those popular runs, the read options, the buck sweep, the strong power. Those runs I talked about in building the offensive scheme, the ones that I had as base runs. If you can stop all those base runs, you're pretty much good to go. You'll be golden. But yeah, make sure you can try to stop the run. And then the last thing is your max coverages. How do you want to set those up? Now, the key to max coverage and any max coverage, this is going to hold true, is to try to get your guys to get one-on-one and then get to the QB. What do I mean by that? That means get one-on-one either on the outside or the middle or wherever it can happen, and then get the rest of the guys, in coverage. So, for instance, what we're going to do here, something that works here on Gen 4, is just spy both D tackles and just blitz those guys out. And what you're going to see happen is, even though we're only rushing 2, we're getting solo on that left side. And as soon as he beat his man, he was in there to get the sack on the quarterback. So any max coverage defense you set up, and it's going to be different for different formations. For instance, if you have a 3-down lineman set, it's obviously going to be a different setup, but sometimes that'll work. So sometimes when you're setting up your max coverage, you may want to spy the dudes. You may want to put them in a zone, whether you're in a zone or a defensive man coverage play. But as you can see here, we're getting one-on-one, and it didn't happen. So instead, maybe you want to go to spy and a flat. And maybe you'll get the one-on-one that way. Just play with it as much as possible to see what you can do to get your guys to get one-on-one. And as long as you're getting one-on-one, you're going to get decent pressure on the QB. And decent pressure with great coverage is usually going to equal a sack or a bad force pass down the field. So that's what you want to do with your max coverages. Try to get as many one-on-ones as you can. Sometimes you'll only rush one. So maybe you'll do something like this. And, Davis may get that one-on-one that you're looking for. So we got one-on-one that we wanted. Look at that. 2 spies and a flat and max coverage, and we still got one-on-one. That way, we still get that quick pressure. So whenever you're doing max coverages, just every formation is going to be a little bit different. But just make sure you keep that into account. Another thing is you may want to put these guys on zones. Likewise, if you're in a zone play, you may want to change the zones behind it. So you may want to change them to a purple and change them to a flat. Or another option is, instead of going with doing that, you may just put the defensive end in a man, or something like something like this to try to stop maybe those inside passes from Davis and whoever. But maybe you put them in man, but just kind of play with that. You'll figure out the max coverage zone you're comfortable with. But the main idea with any max coverage is going to be to try to get one-on-one established with usually the defensive end or a linebacker or a safety or a D tackle, somebody usually with the outside tackle on the offensive line, and usually get that one-on-one, and then you're going to get some solid pressure. You're going to be good to go there. But as far as building a scheme goes, I hope this series has helped you out, and if you haven't watched the other parts, be sure to do that. But I pretty much talked about all the aspects of building a scheme. I know I didn't give you any real plays, but that would actually just be giving you a scheme and not building or helping you build one. So that's why I didn't want to get too specific into any setups. Just wanted to keep it general. But Hopefully these ideas and concepts and theories and things like that will all help you build schemes in Madden 25 on Gen 3 and Gen 4 and in Maddens in the future. Most of these ideas are going to hold up, and most of them, 99, well, not 99, but like at least 80% of them are going to hold true in future generations or future games of Madden from 15 to 16 or whatever they're going to call them. So that's going to wrap it up, though, for the series, guys. Hopefully you stay tuned for more gameplays and things like that coming soon. But until the next time, it's your boy Monster Chappie. We gone!